What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes show. This was almost going to be a dark show. I think Yankees below 500 in the month of July. They've been struggling. Guys are going down on injury, and they just lost 2 games to the Mets. But there was a little bit of a bright spot at the end of the night. We're recording this Thursday morning, so Andrew Benintendi is now a Yankee. Scott, he was in on both of our GM plans. Going into the trade deadline, we've been talking about why Benintendi's perfect for this roster for a month and a half at this point. So obviously we're excited about this trade.
Very excited about the trade. I feel like Cashman is just always does this. He waits for us to play the team or go to a
they don't
city
have to pay for Benintendi's flight.
He makes it. Well, I think they do because I don't know if the Royals were already here.
Actually, where were the Royals last night? Yeah, maybe they weren't on the flight yet. They can imagine that. It's like Benintendi
might have a Juan Soto situation.
Benintendi's going to get on the team plane and nope, not anymore, buddy. Go stand in line.
Yeah. Look, I love this. This is the exact move that they needed to make for the outfielder. This is the absolute right guy of all of the guys that were available. The haul that Cashman gave was like the chef's kiss, in my opinion. I don't think he gave up really anything. I know we'll talk about the package, and this kid Beck Way is the one that people have their eyes on, but he's in low A right now. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. I hope he does well. I hope he succeeds and has a tremendous career in Kansas City or wherever he gets traded next. But this is a glaring hole that the New York Yankees just filled to perfection, honestly. The balance in the lineup now is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. When you see it on paper, when I look at a lineup, you could change it so many different ways, have so many different options, have so much flexibility, have so many ways that you can really hurt an opposing team with the way that these guys attack pitching. I love it. I think it was the perfect move and really puts the Yankees in a good spot.
99.9% of Yankees fans could not pick Beck Way, TJ Sakema, or Chandler Champlin out of a lineup. So yeah, it was a good trade for the Yankees. Now, in both of our plans, we actually gave up more prospects. And Luis Hill, I know, was in Logan and my plan. I don't know if Luis Hill was in your plan as well. I forget. Okay,
we had Medina in ours.
Certainly.
We were conservative because we wanted to make sure that the deals were getting done when we're looking at that. I mean, Cashman obviously identified what the market was and looked at the prospect haul or was communicating with the Royals brass.
Well, you know what's
this
interesting?
Is what it took.
So I just went on NYY Recaps. Derek, he's got a great YouTube channel. I was on his show. He's going to be on our show next week, probably talking about the whatever else the Yankees do at the deadline. But we were kind of talking about how once Juan Soto entered the trade market, that's the shiny object at the top, and some of these other outfielders, Andrew Benintendi, maybe the price went down on them, or maybe fewer teams were in on those guys and actually turned out maybe to help the Yankees.
Yeah, possibly. I still don't firmly believe that the Soto thing is real right now at the trade deadline. I feel like it's just we're gonna throw some chum out in the waters and see what happens to set us up.
Maybe.
Yeah, fine. I mean, whatever it is, it will be a crazy deal if it got done mid-season. But anyway, yeah, if that's the case, then tremendous, because at the end of the day, the Yankees just got a much-needed piece and one that was absolutely a great fit. And that's the thing. Talking about fit, is he the best player on the market? Probably not. But is he the best fit on the market? I believe so. I believe he is the best fit for what this Yankees team needs right now to win.
We have a graphic in here. I think it's from MLB Network. Andrew Benintendi, 13.3% strikeout percentage. And they're comparing him to Joey Gallo, which, fine. If that's who he's hopefully going to be replacing on the roster for fun, let's compare him to Joey Gallo.
It's a great comparison.
Strikeout rate to 38% strikeout rate. Honestly, if you had told me 38%, I would have taken the over. It feels like 99%. WRC plus overall, 126 for Benintendi, 83 for Joey Gallo. WRC plus with runners in scoring position, 110 for Benintendi, 50 for Joey Gallo. And why did the Yankees...
Is that updated from the recent pinch hitting appearance?
The Yankees struggle with against the Mets? Hitting with runners in scoring position. They could not cash in on many opportunities over those 2 games. It's the number one reason why they lost those 2 close games. They could not cash in with runners in scoring position. They Benintendi, you plug him in there. That's another guy who's going to make contact with runners on base.
What do you need to do when you get into the late part of the season and into the playoffs? You need to capitalize on the few opportunities that you have within a given game. You need to capitalize. You can't go 0-for with runners in scoring position and expect to win in the playoffs. That is not a formula that works for any team in a short series against the best competition and arguably, in theory, the best pitching that's available going up against you. Guys like Benintendi make bat to ball contact and set things up. And in tough spots, they give a tough at bat. That's why I like IKF so much. I understand he's not perfect and he's not the maybe not what people expected in their brains, but he gives a good at bat and he's a different look than a lot of the guys in the lineup. And you need that. You need that for different situations. So the 38%, you know what the most surprising thing about that is that I think I saw second or third in the league. So there are actually one or two guys that are worse.
Higher?
Wow.
Are people higher with as many plate appearances as Joey Gallo? Because that would be
the plate appearances. I think is where the discrepancy comes into play. But yeah, one or two guys that are worse than that. That's
yeah,
bad.
and
I think Franimal is one of them.
So Benintendi was added to the 40-man roster, but they're going to have to clear a 26-man roster spot to get him up at the majors. I guess LeCastro's probably going to be sent down because LeCastro's just a backup outfielder and pinch runner at this point. Understand. Everyone wants Joey Gallo gone. It's a matter of time. If it doesn't happen this weekend, it'll happen after the trade deadline. I really do believe it. Like, you cannot carry this guy on the roster anymore. With Stanton going down, though, right now, I think it gives the Yankees some hesitation in, I'm not saying trading Gallo. I still don't think Gallo's going to get traded, but maybe waiving Gallo and hopefully someone picks him up. I don't know. I feel like while Stanton is on the IL, they kind of have to hang on to Joey Gallo, unfortunately.
I do think, well, first of all, think about the player too and the mindset of the player. Do you really want him on the team anymore? I mean, could you get into a worse place mentally?
He's
I don't think you could by the guy coming in and you being on the same team as the person that's replacing you, who's literally the anti-you. He's the anti-you. I mean, the reason he was brought in was because you do the things that you do so poorly, and this guy does those exact same things so well.
Spider-Man meme.
So
should make that the Spider-Man meme, except the other one is just Andrew Benintendi.
Yeah, it's pretty demoralizing as a human being at that point. So, there's really no space for him. So I think that I do think they'll find a trade partner. It's just a matter of like what they give up. It's just a matter of like intentionally going to a place. That's all. We're going to deposit you far away to a place that's not going to give us very much, but we know where you're going, and that makes us feel better.
If Joey Gallo had hit a home run in that pinch hitting opportunity on Tuesday night, what
does Benintendi not become a Yankee?
What is the butterfly effect?
0. 0, 0, 0. Because he would never hit a home run. I mean, Boone got played so hard right there. It wasn't even funny. The fact that you brought him in the first place, you're just like, hi, expose me, please. Expose me. I'm exposing myself. So make it worse. Okay. I'm going to play the trumpet in this like epic run-in that Diaz has, which I gotta hand it to him. It's good. It's so good. His music while running in is awesome. But I mean, the matchup was so ridiculously he was so overmatched with Diaz there that it was just a joke to even have him. Yeah, Buck Showalter was laughing the entire
Boone's
time.
quote after the game was, "It's not just about getting a hit in that situation. The other component is forcing their hand to at least get their closer in there for a 4-out situation." So that's, I guess, the justification.
Oh, yeah, because that was really difficult. Really difficult. Really difficult. Really, really high effort there. He didn't have to do anything. He just executed a couple of bullpen pitches to Joey Gallo, and everybody in the world knew he was striking out, including Joey Gallo.
In no world do you want Joey Gallo at the plate, and especially in a situation where you need to have a hit to come back in a game. And IKF had already had 2 hits in the game, so yeah, it was a laughable decision.
What you just said,
a laughable decision.
The quote the quote that you just said actually is completely counterintuitive to anything, making him get 4 outs. Well, guess what? You might have to have him face another at bat if you put IKF in there at least. Let him get a base hit or put some bat to ball and try to get on base. Now you're extending this guy for another batter when you damn well know that Joey Gallo is striking out. It makes no sense. It's just like I'm backing into this explanation with some bullshit rather than saying it was a dumb
I went
move.
to the Tuesday night game, but by the time late in the game, I had left because I had to drive, and it's not fun driving to New York City stadiums. Okay, it's just not fun.
You shouldn't admit that, honestly,
Why shouldn't I admit?
because you shouldn't have left the game.
Are you kidding me? It's a regular
I'm
season
not kidding
game.
you.
I'm gonna leave in the 7th inning, so I don't have to spend 2.5 hours getting home, especially
Okay.
from Citi Field.
This is where we're different. I take the pain and I drive home and I get home at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Worst case
For a
scenario.
playoff game, obviously. For a regular season game, sorry. When I have to wake up at
You
6
made
a.m.
the decision
no matter
to
what.
go out there. Were the people that you were going with wanting to leave, or did they stay?
No, they stayed. They weren't driving. I don't live in a convenient spot to get to Citi Field. I like Citi Field. It's a really nice stadium. Hadn't been there since 2015. Really great stadium. The parking situation was actually pretty easy. I parked at the marina. I got on the highway in 4 seconds. It was beautiful because people were still at the game. Anyway, my point was I was listening to John and Susan when the pinch hitting opportunity happened, and John was just beside himself. Could not fathom why is Joey Gallo batting right now? What is going on here? And Susan said, this is a shot. This is throwing a dart. Like, because Joey Gallo can hit a home run. He has hit 13 of them this year. IKF has hit 0 home runs this year. And Boone's looking at the situation. How are we going to get back in this game? It's got to be a home run because we ain't stringing hits together. No one can get hits with runners in scoring position. And then even when we do get guys in scoring position, someone gets picked off first base or someone gets thrown out at second base trying to steal.
I would rather take my chances with IKF and Trevino getting on base to bring up LeMahieu and getting a potential Oppo home run from LeMahieu rather than going with Gallo. I would rather 2 people. I would rather my chances be in the hands of 2 to 3 people rather than Joey Gallo making contact against Edwin Diaz.
But do you know what?
So
what Boone said.
the logic goes out the window when you enter the name Joey Gallo into the situation about
I
hitting said
agree
home
with
run.
you.
to
Let
get-
me be clear. I agree with you. I did not want Joey Gallo batting there. But the analytics department, I would bet, believes they would rather have Joey Gallo there because your chances at getting a Joey Gallo home run are better than getting an IKF to get on base plus Trevino to get on base.
I don't know. They might not be, to be honest.
To then even move
With
it
Joey
to
Gallo-
then even move it to DJ LeMahieu, who has to get a hit, or you'd be getting a on base from IKF, a hit from IKF, and a hit from Trevino. I would bet.
I'd rather pinch hit like
nerds-
Marwin Gonzalez than Joey Gallo.
I agree. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate and maybe go through the process of why he made that decision, or maybe he was just thinking. This is a shot in the dark. Like, this is why everyone's buying lottery tickets now that it's up to $1 billion, because there's a 0.0000001% chance that I'm going to be a billionaire tomorrow.
That's exactly what he was thinking, that there's a possibility for a home run, and it was a stupid fucking thought, and he should never have thought it. And that's where it ends. Honestly, that's exactly where it ends. That's it. There's no breaking down his mentality on that. It was dumb. It was a dumb thought. And as soon as you brought it in, if he thought in the world, what I actually think happened is that I don't think he thought Edwin Diaz was going to come in. I thought he thought that that Ottavino was going to be the guy, and that would be the case. And that was dense. That was a dense decision because Buck Showalter was just baiting you to put someone like Joey Gallo in.
Joey Gallo
to do that.
versus Adam Ottavino is a great matchup. Like there's no matchup where Joey Gallo is a good option.
Right.
It's
moving forward,
decisions like
it was
that.
dumb.
Why? Because when I texted my dad this morning, Benintendi is a good trade. He texted back, need to trade for a new manager. That was my dad's response.
Well, I'm at a point now with this season that I am looking at this stretch as a slump. I'm looking at it as a slump. We've seen this good team in the first half of the year, and we were enamored by this good team. And in fact, we were talking about Boone in a way that we have really never talked about him, in a way that had a little bit of confidence. So we're like surprised at some of the things that he was doing early days and making sure early days of the season. And it was good. We had a good temperature check on what was happening. So I cannot let this 15 game stretch, this month of July so far, enter my brain as poison yet. I need to see, because I tweeted this out. If we're going to hit a slump, if we're going to stink and play badly, now is the time to do it. Expose all the weaknesses in the world. Like, let's put them out there. Let's see where we suck, because now we can fix them. Brian Cashman can fix them, and one for one, fixed one spot. So if we're sucking now, and this is the best time to suck all year long, because now we can do something about it. And in a week, we're not going to be able to do something about it, because after Tuesday, your options become much more limited in how you can affect the team and its chances of becoming a World Series champion. But he can do it right now.
You're right. Acquiring Benintendi obviously takes care of the outfield need, but we've been saying for 3 weeks that outfield's actually not the number one need on this team right now. It's pitching, because the pitching staff is in dire straits between injuries and underperformances and the bullpen just being so damn thin. Even though the bullpen pitched really well in the series against the Mets, they need arms.
For sure. And, this is the first move. There haven't been any arms really that have been dealt, right? Nobody of note. So the market's still hot. The market's still out there. Cashman gave up practically nothing for Benintendi. So he's fully armed still, ready to go out there and make a deal. So I'd say he's in a great spot. I mean, he really positioned himself well right here, and also made it known that we're ready to compete right now. This is a right now move. And what that does, I think, is it sends a message to other front offices. Okay, let's make sure that we're talking to the Yankees. Let's make sure that we identify what the Yankees package is, because they are gearing up for a run right now. That's to me what Benintendi coming over at this point, kind of leading the market. I know Vogelback, by the way, looks like Luke Voigt ate Bartolo Colon. I mean, when I see that man stepping up, I'm like, it's unbelievable. And that he doesn't strike out either. He doesn't miss. But the market with Benintendi coming in is definitely the highest profile guy so far that has come in. He's declaring open for business. Make sure you talk to us, come through us, because that's where the trades need to go through New York.
Yeah, and you hope it's a shot in the arm for the Yankees. Like, I don't know if they've been in a little bit of a slump. Who knows why? But David Cohn's talked about how acquiring players at the deadline can actually be just motivation for a team. Yeah. You get excited. We're getting a new piece in here. We actually saw the Yankees take off a little bit after the trade deadline last year. That turned out to be just sort of false hope, I guess. But maybe getting Benintendi in here is going to rejuvenate this lineup a little bit.
As it should. It's another very good bat in here. I mean, Judge was quoted about it and calling out all the things that he was good at. He knows what this does to the lineup. He knows that this is an opportunity now to get more guys on base from me, so I can hit the ball out of the park and have more more production numbers, because now the table is going to be set even more. You get a guy like Benintendi and IKF at the bottom of that lineup, setting up LeMahieu and then the rest, and then Judge and Stanton when healthy, and the boppers. Like, dude, that is nasty. Who are you pitching to? You're going to pitch to the guys that can't hurt you with the long ball as much, but they will hurt you by getting on base.
So
you're not just going to get them out.
Benintendi is essentially the left-handed DJ LeMahieu, right? Like, I'm comparing their numbers. DJ LeMahieu strikes out 12.3% of the time this year. Andrew Benintendi is 13.1%. The WRC pluses are pretty close, 133.
LeMahieu has more power.
Yeah, he's got 9 home runs versus Benintendi's only got 3.
What are their slugging? What's their
slugging? 398 for Benintendi versus 408 for DJ LeMahieu. Like, they're very similar players,
and not that close.
Yeah. And so what we're doing is we're adding another DJ LeMahieu to the lineup. Like, that's very exciting.
Awesome. It's very exciting, yeah. And again, like, I'm gonna keep touting the IKF because I do like the player. He doesn't have power. He has no power. That's fine. It's okay. He needs to stop getting picked off and doing dumb shit. But that's it. He can get on base.
That was a crushing moment in that game, because you had Walker on the ropes.
It was a crushing moment for my Twitter account too, to be honest. I don't know if you saw the tweet that I put out right before that happened, but it was pretty brutal.
What did you do?
I said something. I said to something to the extent of, can you imagine not seeing the incredible value that IKF is to this team? Literally 30 seconds later, after I hit send, picked off at first base. I'm like, I can't have nice things.
IKF
The world, the universe will not allow it to happen.
IKF said it was the best move he's ever seen.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Really bad timing for me personally.
And last thing on Benintendi is that all reports are that he's going to be vaccinated. I know that's a lot of concern among Yankee fans. He wouldn't be able to play against the Blue Jays, but he will be vaccinated.
Is there one set left up in Toronto? 3 games, right, for the regular season, and then who knows? Who knows? I'm going to knock on wood. I know we have a nice little padding of a lead here, but who knows? Well, there you go. Worst case scenario, 3 games, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that was that might have been a contingency of the trade. Like, you cannot be traded.
I heard that they did not even discuss it. It was what the report is.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, I retweeted Marley Rivera last night saying that it's understood. There's an understanding, as there was when the Yankees went to Toronto. There was an understanding, but before that happened, that everybody on the team was going to be. They were on the same page. So it wouldn't surprise me if this was like. You want to play some conspiracy theory on a positive note here?
Oh, not on positive, no.
Yeah. That's why I had to put that caveat there for you. Little Aaron Judge text message to Benny.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Benny, you ready? You ready to play ball? You ready to, without saying it out loud? I did it. You ready to come over? This is what the team needed. We're in lockstep. Benny,
I was never
just
worried.
sends over the syringe emoji.
I was never worried about Benintendi needing to get vaccinated. It's like, you get traded to the Yankees. They are obviously pushing for a World Series. You're going to be a free agent after the end of the year. You got Aaron Judge, who's one of the face of Major League Baseball, who would come up to you and say, hey, this is what we do here. This is what needs to happen. I was not concerned that it was going to get done. And I don't even really know why
leadership moment for Aaron Judge that we just manufactured.
I have no idea why Benintendi was not vaccinated, what his reasons were. I don't really care. Don't really care.
I'm very over that conversation, to be honest. I will say him coming with the spite. There's definitely some spite there. Don't forget about that. There's some I told you so. There's some I told you so brewing inside of Benintendi.
Because he's got the Royals this weekend.
No, not the Royals. That'll be like a thank you. He'll be dapping up everybody. It's more so the fact that you couldn't cut it in the AL East, and now you're back in in pinstripes now. There's some things there, and whether it's internal and you put that chip on your shoulder, it's going to be talked about. It's going to be a narrative.
I don't know if you noticed, the Red Sox are in last place.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be direct, but you still were there. They didn't value you, and now you're here winning champion. It cuts. It's a little salt.
All right, so obviously we've talked about some of the things from the Mets series. I thought overall it was a really exciting 2 games. The atmosphere at Citi Field on Tuesday was really, really good. And it was sellout. Like, anytime you're in a sellout stadium, it's just a fun atmosphere. People were super into it. And you really do feel that Mets little brother syndrome from Mets fans. And as a Yankees fan, the only really team that I'd ever experienced that with was the Red Sox, but I haven't even experienced that in a really long time, because for the past decade and a half, the Red Sox have not been the little brother to the Yankees. So it's kind of fun to be in that position.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really. It's always that way though, because the Mets have, until they get to over the cusp, it'll always be like that. It's not even just towards the Yankees, right? It's just they need to get to the promised land at some point so that they can feel satisfied. And until that happens, not obviously. It was a long time ago. For them. So they need some real wins, and it's not just the Yankees, because if it wasn't even against the Yankees, they would still claim it towards the Yankees.
On the Tuesday game, what did you think of the double steal attempt in that spot against Ottavino? Now, Ottavino was terribly slow to the plate. Like, we know that.
Yeah.
But
Rizzo
got thrown out. Like, he was safe, and then he was out because he came off the bag. So when that happens, that means it's a bang-bang play. So you were almost out. It's a dangerous call there to do a double steal.
Yeah, but usually, I mean, I will say that he threw to second base, which is unconventional. He did beat it. He was there, It wasn't necessarily. It wasn't that bang bang. He beat it in. It's just he came off the damn bag. I just don't know if the umpire called it because he came off the bag, or the umpire was just wrong and it worked out in their favor because of that. And that pisses me off a little bit, to be honest, because it's not in the nature of why that's there. You know what I mean? Like
spirit of the rule.
The spirit of the rule. Thank you.
But we've seen that a million
the gaps,
times.
the little gaps. Like if you have a gap, like F your gap. No, this shouldn't even be the thing.
Once you introduce replay, we see this in football all the time. They zoom in. It's like, oh, was his fingertip under the ball sort of thing. It's like, did a blade of grass touch the football? It's like, really? Yeah. That's what we're doing here? But once you have replay, that's what we can do. So that's what we do.
I get it. I just don't think he called him out for that purpose. I just think he got the call wrong.
But say he called him safe, then if he had called him safe, then Buck Showalter's challenging because his minions see that he came off the bag and he gets called out.
Right. So, yeah, I understand you're going to get that with replay, but at the same time, you get the majority of the calls right. The whole point of the call on the field standing or not, to me, is dumb. Because if the replay is zooming in, just give them the call. Who cares what the guy said in the field? Why does it matter? It doesn't. It shouldn't. Just get the call right. That's it.
Well, you're saying when it's too close to make a decision?
No, the replay, if you cannot see definitively what it is, like at all, and then the call on the field has to stand. But there are many cases where it's like, I can tell, but maybe you can make a decision. You can make a much better decision with replay than you can on the field. So why do we have to refer back to what the guy saw in the moment? Go with what you see in replay and make the call from there. It should be an objective decision, just like the umpire is making objective decision in the moment. Have the person in the booth also make an objective decision with better information. Why is that difficult?
Yeah. And Montgomery just put them in a bad spot. I know they had the off day, but this pitching staff has been taxed with all the games out of the All-Star break. He just had nothing. It was just like meatballs being thrown.
What did you think about him being pulled? Because he was very shocked. It was right after a strikeout, right, as well. And Boone starts coming out. He's floored that he does this, that he's coming out at this moment. You're also, it was Alonso who was coming up, right? If I remember correctly. That was when Herman got pulled. It was Alonso coming up, and he already taken him. The Montgomery has worked through a lot of these struggles early on, has given that leash to stay through. And to his credit, he's been able to eat innings and get into the 6th, 7th inning, even when struggling. He's been able to figure it out a bit and kind of adjust as he goes on. Boone wasn't, it was contentious. Boone didn't even want to say anything with him about it.
So he did this with Taillon against Baltimore, and we justified it. We're like, Taillon has not earned the right to fight through these games over the past 2 months. And you can argue that Montgomery has earned the right because he has not really had a blow-up start, maybe even all season. I mean, June 27th against Oakland, he gave up 5 runs in 6 2/3 innings, but I believe all of those runs came in 1 inning early. The start before that on June 22nd, he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. It's a lot of 1 to 3 runs in 5 to 6 innings. And then, obviously, this time out, I think it's – I don't know. I think Boone is – I don't know what the decision was, why he pulled him. Obviously, they saw something in that game where they did not believe Montgomery was going to work his way through it.
Well, I know that he felt like there were better options just to stay in the game at that point, too. But looking forward –
And they did. The bullpen held it.
The bullpen was good. The whole series. It was 2 games. It's not even a real series. The bullpen was good. The bullpen kept the Yankees in both ball games. So they had the ability to come back in that first one, and they did end up coming back with the Gleyber just attacking Peterson immediately. That was great to see, by the way. That was a hell of a piece of hitting. That is Gleyber Torres at his best. Watching him go opposite field like that, going with the pitch and finding, because he's got that power stroke. He's got the power to both sides of the field. And I love how he was aggressive there, was looking for something and put a really good swing on it. That was fun to watch. Unfortunately, they didn't end up finishing that game, but I'm glad that they came back, and I'm glad that Gleyber was able to attack that pitch. But the bullpen, got to give them credit for what they were doing. Obviously, Wandy fell into a little bit of trouble with the leadoff double, and it didn't work out. But they were good overall. Marinaccio looked good.
Yeah, he did. So was this a nationally televised ESPN game last night?
Yes.
Okay, because I tried to put it on MLB TV and it was like it wasn't working. I was like, oh, what the hell is going on? Anyway, they're talking about how Yankees unconventionally used Clay Holmes in the 8th inning of a tie game on the road. Like you don't see that often, but it was against the best hitters in the Mets
fire extinguisher.
So I mean, Cone, who's obviously on top of this stuff, is like, yeah, that call checks out, and then you have to rely on Wandy Peralta to get it to extra innings. But Wandy Peralta has been very good for you this year, and Wandy's gotten out of a lot of tough jams.
And he almost
gotten out of a lot of tough jams.
He almost got out of this one too because there was a comebacker that he just unfortunately couldn't grab in his glove cleanly, and threw to first base and just wasn't able to cut the run down. But if he gets that runner, then it's a different at bat. Maybe you're not pitching to Marte. Your approach is much different if you have 2 outs at that point. So it was the way that the ball bounced, unfortunately, and he got jumped on with that double. So I didn't hate it. I'm surprised. Are you surprised that Clay Holmes didn't stay in the game, or that was
no? How many pitches did he throw? I feel like he threw a lot of pitches, didn't he?
I have to look to see how many pitches he threw.
No, I'm not surprised that he didn't stay in the game.
Next question is if the Yankees had gotten the lead, or if
does he come back out?
Does he come back out, or do we see Chapman?
How many how many pitches had he thrown? If Logan, you could look that up on Clay Holmes. But no, I don't think he's coming back out.
He threw 21 pitches, and I had the same thought as you, Scott. I was like,
that's
oh my
exactly
God, Chapman is going to
when I saw that, because he pitched a clean inning.
All right the night before.
Yeah, and we're like, Boone's like, maybe he's back. Is this it? Maybe let's put him back in the closing role and see what happens.
I was at the game on Tuesday with 2 Mets fans, Dylan and Will, and I had to explain to them why Aroldis Chapman was pitching the 6th inning. They were not on top of what the Aroldis Chapman roller coaster has been this year.
Yeah, it's I still in my head think Boone was going to bring him in if there was a lead.
Chapman?
Yes.
Over Wandy?
Yes.
Well, then why not just throw Chapman in the 9th instead of Wandy? Like that decision should not matter. Whether you're up by 1 run or tied in that situation, you can't give up runs in that inning, and you decided to go to Wandy Peralta. So why would you not go to Chapman? If anything, why are you going to use Aroldis Chapman in not a clean inning if you get to extra innings when there's the runner on second base?
Well, no, it would have been in the 9th inning is what I'm talking about. That's where.
No, but what I'm saying
with
is
a lead.
if Chapman was going to come into that game, it was going to be in the 9th inning.
Only if they had a lead. Because again, tie situation, tie game, you're not in a save situation.
You're saving Aroldis Chapman for a save situation in the 10th or 11th inning, in which they
no, not saving him. I'm saying in that moment, maybe he doesn't pitch if that's the case. I'm just saying if they had a lead going into the 9th inning, just the 9th inning. I'm not saying that would have been the same decision in the bottom of the 10th inning or the bottom of the 11th inning or the bottom of the 12th inning.
Yeah.
I'm saying the 9th inning because I think Boone was like, if we can scratch a run, Chapman, and we would have been like,
I think it was Wandy no matter what. It was Wandy no matter what in that situation. How that Judge striking out for the last time against Scherzer on that pitch off the plate might have been the most pissed off I've ever seen him himself.
Good. He looked like shit against Scherzer. There's no doubt.
Scherzer ate him for lunch. He knew exactly what he was doing with just like setting him up for those sliders away.
Yeah. So Boone's got to be humbled, Judge has to be humbled occasionally at the plate. He's been Captain America. You make a mistake. Max Scherzer's not going to give you those cookies. He's not going to make those mistakes over the plate. So, it was a well executed. It was a hell of a matchup. I look forward to the next time because I think it'll be different. And I like seeing Judge pissed off against a guy. There was I was listening to some post game with Scherzer and just like, that's how you want to be identified. You want to be evaluated on the best matchups. And I believe Judge feels the exact same way, and that's going to piss him off, and he's going to go out there and study and make sure that the next approach against a Scherzer or a guy like Scherzer, that it'll be different. So I like it. It fuels him. You got to have some failures to grow and learn and to have the positive outcome. So
do you remember back when we did our off-season GM episode? I wanted to sign Max Scherzer.
Who that?
No, I think it's like what he brings.
Is this an I told you so moment that you wanted to sign Max Scherzer?
No, it's not an I told you so.
Okay.
But like what I saw in that mentality last night is exactly what I feel like is lacking from Garrett Cole.
Oh yeah, he's a dog. They're different.
Yeah.
Their mentalities are different, very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. No, yeah, I agree with that for sure. I mean, Max Scherzer, you look at him and he freaks you out just because of his eyes, and then he's yelling at himself. He's screaming at himself. He's a psycho. I love it. I love how much of a psychopath he is on the mound. I want that in all of my pitchers, especially my ace. I want you to be a complete psychopath so that the batter doesn't know what the hell is going to happen. If the batter feels uncomfortable because of your actions and you can execute your pitches, that makes me feel very good if that guy's on my team.
Yeah. And that was a cool story that they told about how he bought all that stuff for the AA team. I think he bought like a bunch of huge like steak dinner and a bunch of AirPods. I don't know. Anyway,
You're a sucker for that shit, huh?
I like Max Scherzer.
I like Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer's a fun. He's one of the most fun guys to watch pitch. There's no doubt. It's unfortunate that he was in a Mets uniform pitching against us.
Yeah, but I guess a positive from last night's game is also Herman looked better, much better than in his first start.
His control was good. He didn't walk a guy until the last batter that he faced. So very positive. I think I was talking about him earlier in the week. Mets podcast, and I said if the Yankees get 4 to 5 from Domingo Germán, that's a really good thing. I was expecting Montgomery to get more length in the game before that, so that the bullpen was had some more of more options on Sunday. It would have put the Yankees in a better position. But what did he throw? 80 pitches, I think. So he's stretching out, looked good walk to strikeout, K to walk rate. So certainly a positive step for Domingo Germán, and hopefully he can build on that and find some consistency because they need him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the roster news, other than obviously Benintendi, is that Stanton was placed on the IL with Achilles tendonitis. So the quote after the All-Star break was that Boone said Stanton just feels exhausted. I guess that his legs felt like I have to imagine his legs felt tired, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's why.
Yeah.
Or were they hoping it was nothing and then they did an MRI or something and it was something? Yeah, Logan, you got something on this?
Yeah, so I was listening to Boone, and I mean, it might be lip service, it might be like take it for what you will, but like he was like explaining how when he woke up on Wednesday morning, he asked for an MRI, and Boone's answer was an MRI on what? Like he had no ailments, and they said, his leg, he woke up really sore on his Achilles, and he was like, really surprised, really didn't see it coming. I mean, I don't know if you believe it or not, but that's.
That's one of those things for an Achilles. If you've ever like hurt your Achilles, I'm not saying ruptured, or just like if it's sore, it gets really stiff, right? Your Achilles gets stiff, and then the flexibility of your leg gets just weird. So, I don't know how that happens. Obviously, it happened somewhere, or it got irritated at some point.
Is that what this is though? Achilles tendonitis? Is that what this is? Just sore Achilles? Because
tendonitis alludes to. Like an ongoing thing, right? So it's like something that
it's chronic almost, right? Like isn't tendonitis like a chronic
So I don't
thing?
know how you deem something as tendonitis, or like what the barrier is for calling it tendonitis besides just saying it's sore. I don't know, but it's still sore. It's still, I mean, whether it's more gradual or it happens because of something, it's still sore. And the Achilles specifically gets tight. And that's not it's not good for your mobility. And I can only imagine how bad it is for your mobility when you're 6'7" or 6'6", and a massive human being like Giancarlo Stanton. But hopefully it's just some rest, man.
Do you think this has anything to?
That's a bad thing to hurt.
Do you think this? You think this has anything to do with him playing the outfield more regularly?
I mean, it's all speculation.
Because that's where my mind immediately went. Is like now they're going to back off him playing the outfield as much as he had to keep him healthy. And then are we going to get the same Giancarlo Stanton at the plate because he's DHing every time? Like, and now with Benintendi, it might be a moot point. Like, right? Like Stanton might just be DHing because you got Benintendi now, and Hicks has been playing really well, and obviously you've got Judge. So there's your starting 3 outfielders, and you've got Stanton to DH and Matt Carpenter to play a couple times a week and pinch hit. Like that's your roster, and that might just be regardless of the Achilles what Stanton was going to be for the rest of the season. But I don't know if that's the best thing for the Yankees.
Well, I mean, I think we've seen that Stanton's a better player when he plays on the defensive side as well. So yeah, if it's a matter, I wouldn't be surprised if they kept him, if they limited his outfield. But you're right, Benintendi coming in now does make that more of a luxury than a necessity. So I would not surprise me. And long term, like that's long term when I say the rest of the year, at some point he's becoming the primary DH. Yeah, great. I mean, we'll see. I think they'll adjust but if they need to keep him out, I think if they have to keep him out of the lineup, if they have to keep him out of the field, there's a reason why, and it's still sore, and they'll probably just hold him back a little bit longer until it's not sore. And if they get to a point where like it's going to stay sore, then that's when they make the decision. Okay, is it better to bring him back and him just DH and keep him off the field? You're still running the base path, like you're still getting a lot of that motion. So I would expect him to not be as limited, but still, I mean, at any point when you're running the bases, it could happen if it's an issue. You're still risking him, hurting it more on the base path.
This was maybe a little bit more of a precautionary IL.
I hope so.
Stint, because like if this was the playoffs, I know some reporters have said that he would still be out there if this were the play. Like you hope so, right? Like you don't hope he pulls himself out of the lineup like he did in the 2019 ALCS. Like you don't want to see Stanton pull himself out of the lineup. Not that this is what he was doing, right? Like he asked for the MRI. Like that is what we want, right? We don't want injuries to go down a road where Stanton's lost for the season because he hit something, right? So like it's this constant battle that we have as fans. Really want our guys to be tough and play through injuries, but also get that MRI so we can prevent some injuries. It's like we're two-faced on that.
But I'm glad he's recognizing and feeling his body enough to say, hey, something feels weird. Let's get the MRI just to double check and make sure it is, so that if it is something, we can nip it in the bud, or just make sure that it's not something. And if it's just a little R&R, then let's do that now. So yeah, I'm glad he did it for sure.
And the last bit of news is actually good news on Michael King, that his UCL is intact, so he doesn't need surgery. He doesn't need Tommy John surgery. He just needs surgery to repair the fracture, which makes his time to recovery better. God, I still don't know how you just fracture your elbow throwing a pitch, but damn.
I played baseball with a kid in my summer league we played double headers on Sunday. He pitched the first game, probably threw 150 pitches, maybe 200 pitches, because nobody cared. And then the second game he caught, which not in hindsight, probably not the greatest. This guy, Scotty Delora, really good player, actually reminds me of IKF, but he caught the second one. And I was playing second base, was taking the ball after the warm-up pitches, and I just heard and his arm, his bicep, the whatever that bone is under your bicep, snapped in half. It snapped, and we had to drive him, bumps and all, to the hospital, and he had nerves like intertwined in it, and he had to get a steel plate in his arm. It was one of the most brutal things. I could hear it. I could hear it from second base. It was nasty. I get cringe. I get goosebumps thinking about it because it was so nasty.
That's gruesome.
It was brutal. And just from throwing, just throwing the ball down to second base in between innings.
Throwing 150,
after you threw 150
pitches.
Yeah.
You're probably on an arm that's not conditioned to do that. Yeah.
I mean, we all just, it didn't matter. We just did, we didn't have enough guys.
All right. That's going to wrap it up for today. Despite the Yankees in a slump, they're, like I said, below 500 in the month of July. I'm hoping this Benintendi trade turns their month of July around and they get back on track. Anything else you want to touch on, Scott, before we wrap it up?
Glad Cashman's setting the market here and letting everybody know, open for business. We're ready to contend. So let's see what he does next.
Yes, and we're going to be recording tomorrow morning, Friday morning, for the Jeter documentary, because the next 2 episodes are coming out tonight, and then we'll be back at you again on Monday.